How long will we keep spending money we don't have? Our Commander-in-Chief, President Joe Biden, goes to G7. The American bank account has run empty. We have no more money to spend. We are at a debt crisis. Our Commander-in-Chief, Joe Biden, flies to the G7 summit, and while there, gives Ukraine hundreds of millions of dollars in military support. They're not even part of G7. The whole world seems to be going insane. Do none of us know what these things are and what they're for? The political class is blatantly spitting in our face, playing with the world, and we're all pawns. I'm so grateful that we're finally seeing an America who's finally trying to become the adult in the room and not just the bully. Let's jump into it.
In negotiations, exasperating as they are. Larry, you've been in the middle of this.
I will say, politically, you're watching Kevin McCarthy take Joe Biden to the cleaners. I mean, basically, it's McCarthy 10, Biden 0. Because everything Biden said he wouldn't do, he's now doing, which is to say they are going to work towards raising the debt ceiling, and they are going to have budget reforms and budget cuts accompanying it. That was Biden's, that was his fight originally. McCarthy's won that. I think basically McCarthy's going to get 80% of what he wants. There won't be any tax hikes, and it's going to be spending cuts.
Well, would you please repeat that? There won't be any tax hikes? McCarthy has the power in the House to stop these tax hikes that Biden plans? Really?
Yes. All tax bills originate in the House. All money bills originate in the House. So it doesn't matter what Mr. Biden wants. If the House doesn't want it, it's not going to happen. Ooh. So there aren't going to be any tax hikes. Okay. Not this go around anyway. One more thing politically. The ball is going to go to the Senate. You haven't heard a peep out of Chuck Schumer, right? Remember Chuck Schumer? He's the majority leader in the Senate. He's been quiet as a mouse because all his positions have been defeated also.
You've woken us all up on the political side of things. Now answer this question. If we get a deal, and we're going to get a deal, but it will leave us with a great deal more debt, won't it? And we'll be at the point fairly soon where we're spending $1 trillion a year servicing that debt, paying out interest. That's not sustainable, is it?
Well, depends how much the economy grows and depends on deals like this. I mean, this deal is not going to solve the problem you're talking about. But let's say McCarthy gets 80% of what he wants. So instead of $5 trillion in lower spending in the next decade, suppose they cut it, suppose $3 trillion. $3 trillion, not nothing, the way Biden's been spending like a drunken sailor. So at the margin, it's a positive development. If you're going to restore free market capitalism in this country, you're going to have 3 House sweep, and we're going to get there, Stu. We'll get there with just another 18 months.
But we've got a long way to go. Larry Kudlow, great stuff.
I love the idea of reducing our federal government spending by $5 trillion. I'll take $3 trillion. I'll take any reduction. Our federal government has been sucking the lifeblood out of our country and wasting it on foreign affairs. The only people who do not want this to move forward are government workers and ignorant, bleeding heart people. It's that simple. Any level of looking into it shows you that the bill is not trying to screw over poor people and not tax rich people. The bill is trying to reduce total net spending across the entire federal government, with the exception of the Pentagon, which is annoying because that's where CIA black budgets are, and I have not researched it. However, I would imagine the FBI also has a budget from the Pentagon as well, which makes those two hydras very difficult to take out. And with where China is, honestly, I do think we should cut the Pentagon's budget. If they had 30% less, they'd probably have to spend most of it protecting us and not meddling in other people's affairs. The fact that McCarthy is a Republican does not change two facts. He doesn't want the federal government making any additional revenue on its people. They call it revenue. It's taxes. It's money they're taking from us, and they're still overspending. I think the most fiscally responsible thing you could do in a house that has no money and is now maxed out the credit cards is to reduce spending. And as a government, if you're spending this inefficiently, you shouldn't be trying to take more from your people. Fix your house. Don't take our money and keep making mistakes. Finally, someone who's radically rational about this. My entire life I've watched us overspend, whether it was red or blue. This is a move forward. We need to tighten our belts. If we don't shore up our shores and control our spending now, in the next 5 to 10 years, our country will be in a position where BRICS or China alone could truly cripple us through economic warfare. We will find ourselves in a position where China can sanction us, and there's nothing we'll be able to do about that. Whenever you find yourself in a conversation about this, do your best to not let the other party get distracted by how they're cutting the budget. Really focus on financial intelligence. It's that simple. The government wants us to make it feel like they're different. When a government overspends, it screws over all of its people. When a home overspends, it just screws over that family. We can't let our government do this to us. I hope you learned something. I'm Tristan with Radically Rational Radio. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in the next episode. Stay resilient.